This episode is about breathing. I guess I'm gonna go.
Hey, everybody!
Woo! Hope your speakers weren't up.
Welcome to another episode of Aches and Gainz. Woo! Hang on. My name is Dr. Hayes Estes.
That was like, what, 15, 20 seconds? Nice job there. Lung capacity master.
Donnie! While I catch my breath, tell everyone what's going on.
Well, Hayes apparently is not a swimmer. To be fair, neither am I. Okay. So, no, what's going on, man? I get to ask you. What's going on with you? Knight, what's the shirt? Look at
Swomy. So I am, you're right, I'm not, well, although actually my uncle and my mother swam collegially, so I actually am
talking out of my ass again.
I actually am a pretty decent swimmer, but I got DQ'd from a race when I was 7 because I apparently cheated when I was 7. Anyway, don't join swim teams.
So you and Tom Brady have more in common than we think.
No. So I am mostly Finnish. My grandmother was born in Finland, so I have that Scandinavian blood running through me, a bunch with some other, English and Irish and Scotch, crap.
The whole Europe thing.
That whole Europe thing. Yeah. I'm very white. But yeah, I don't know. I decided to wear this today because we're going to talk about a certain type of breathing technique that embraces the cold. I love the cold, which is ironic because we live in Florida. We live in a swamp. I was that kid who, granted, I went to school in Charleston, South Carolina. I get it, but from first grade through 12th grade, did not wear pants one day. I did wear shorts.
Shorts.
Yeah, I wore shorts.
Not long pants.
Yeah, I wore shorts every single day, even when it was snowing outside. And then I continued that on to Penn State for college because I love the cold. It's in my blood. And we got a special topic.
There's a guy we're talking about today that tends to like cold stuff too.
Yeah.
So, cool.
But before we get there, actually, we might be able to segue after this. We might be able to segue back to what we're going to talk about. Donnie, what happens when we die?
Oh God, really? We're gonna do that? Are you talking physically?
Tell me what you think.
Please, we have like 4 viewers. I don't want to lose 2 of them. God. Dude, I'll give you the story. We magically elevate to a place depending on what your morals were on this earth, either below or up above the stratosphere.
That's such a effing PC answer, you goon.
What do you want me to say?
Give me your opinion. What do you think happens when we die?
It depends on how tight you nail the casket, whether it become worm food or not. I mean, I don't know.
I can't believe you just trying to completely avoid this.
I'm avoiding the hell out of it.
You suck.
God, I already alienate enough people. Do we need to alienate everyone else?
If someone gets alienated because you have a certain belief as to like what happens when we die,
have you seen social media over the last year and a half? Listen, you can't have personal beliefs anymore.
Well, I didn't think that you were going to be one who was going to suckle at the teat of Mark Zuckerberg. So,
well, it depends on the inheritance.
Touche.
Yeah. Okay. No.
All right. Well,
I'm totally diverting. You can do that if you want.
I mean, no. You know what? Let's both avoid it, and we just ate up. We just ate up 3 minutes because we're trying to hit our 25 minutes.
No, I don't even care about that. No, God.
Well, anyway, so this is an incontrovertible, a non-disputable fact. I cannot talk.
Yeah.
We do die.
What happens to your words when you die? They go to hell.
I stroke right now. We all do die at some point. Our bodies stop working.
Unfortunately.
And that has happened with some people who have tried the Wim Hof breathing technique. And because it's kind of insane. And so that was going to be my segue. So the way to ruin it, killjoy.
I like Wim.
I like it. I think it's very beneficial. I want to start this on a little bit of a different note, because I want to try to relate all of this back to weightlifting.
Okay.
And breathing techniques with weightlifting.
Yes.
So that's why I brought this up.
Okay.
But I think that touching on the Wim Hof breathing technique is beneficial because of the potential benefits that it has. So let's talk first about the main breathing technique that people associate with weightlifting. That's the Valsalva maneuver, which is a forced attempted exhalation against a closed glottis. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Since I took anatomy classes, that
Wait, I took A&P
Oh,
too.
did you? Okay.
Come on, man.
All
I
right.
just didn't do it at a doctoral level.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Hoity-toity over here.
Anyway, it's the goal is to increase intra-abdominal pressure so that it can help with physical exertion, stabilization while you're lifting those massive weights and setting them PRs.
It's also what I believe they attribute to Elvis Presley's death.
Yes. So, speaking of which, man, good look at you. 2009, the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research did an article called "The Valsalva Maneuver Revisited." We know it can increase blood pressure, it can increase heart rate, and it can increase the risk of a cerebral hemorrhage. So the recommendation at that time was to not use the Valsalva maneuver unless you're going for a 1 rep max. So anything other than lifting a weight as heavy a weight as you can for one time, they said don't do it because of those risks. And so therefore, people who have increased blood pressure, heart problems, that type of stuff, cardiovascular impairments, probably not the smartest thing to do for your lifting. So.
But also, if you have all of that stuff, you shouldn't be lifting maximal weights.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. I agreed.
Fix that first.
Yeah. I'd say fix that first. So, what is, do you like the Valsalva maneuver?
Yes, I like the Valsalva maneuver. The Valsalva maneuver does not care for me. And I have video evidence, unfortunately, multiple times of me succumbing to the Valsalva maneuver post-lift. So I would complete the lift, attempt to walk away, and just completely lose all consciousness. And there was one time where I don't remember finishing the lift.
I hope we put one of those videos up right
it's
now.
on there. We can find it. I've gotten over it. I get it. The first couple of times it hurt a little bit. No, but it was just
your ego or your body?
My ego.
Okay.
Well, one time I actually did hurt my knee because I collapsed on top of myself, and that's when I had to all right, enough. We got to fix this. But no, it is beneficial. I've had to modify it because at one point I was going full on Valsalva maneuver when I was bracing. And it would cause me to only have a very short period of time to complete the lift before I lost consciousness. And that's usually bad for completing a lift when you're not conscious.
I'd say so.
So I had to modify it by taking shorter breaths to stabilize myself and not filling my air, my stomach or my lungs up with air and pushing out my stomach as much. But I also started taking knees after I was done with my lift, we affectionately called the T-bowing beforehand, and letting myself, the Tweety birds come back. Okay, now we can get up. So I figured it. But yes, short answer, it is a valuable tool in my max effort lifting. Yes.
So what do you? So max effort lifting. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I concur. Assuming you have been cleared by a medical doctor. That you're not going to stroke out while lifting.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, for 1 rep max, every once in a while, I'd go for it. You're in a competition. I'm trying to win this thing. Okay, great. My preferred technique is a modification, which sounds like you're doing, of the Valsalva, which is basically called the hold breath technique, and that is a way of stimulating the Valsalva maneuver without the increase in blood pressure. So you do. Once you hit the point of force, or stress, or like a sticking point, then I breathe to kind of push through. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's speculated that this is what people actually do when they're lifting weights, when they attempt the Valsalva maneuver, because most people are not going to try to push themselves to the point of
Passing out.
unconsciousness. and they're like, hey, let's not die.
Remember we talked about masochism before?
Yeah, masochism. Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, so the whole breath technique, you push the weight while holding your breath, and then you exhale once the weight is forced, as opposed to bearing down in the Valsalva maneuver.
Yes.
So there are some other techniques for breathing during weightlifting that you may or may not be aware of. One is called lung packing. This is where you inhale more air into the lungs than it supposedly can physically hold in an attempt to get more oxygen into your lungs and expand them beyond capacity.
But not expanding abdominal pressure? Does that have nothing to do with that? Or are we talking about?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's first seen in free divers where they would take a deep breath and then they kind of hold that and then kind of suck in through their mouth more oxygen to overinflate their lungs past their natural capacity.
That would make sense for them because they're releasing as they go. Anyway, correct?
Yes.
When they're doing free diving.
Yeah, and so the thought process with lung packing and weightlifting is that you have this extra. It doesn't have to do anything with the increased pressure. It's just you have more oxygen available potentially to deliver to your brain, so that you don't lose consciousness. Then there is reverse breathing, and normally when you breathe, your abdomen expands. Your diaphragm contracts and it actually expands. And then when you exhale, it goes the other way. So reverse breathing is when you inhale, you suck in, and so your navel comes in toward you. And then when you exhale, you push out. And so this is mostly seen in, I think, Huijong. I'm going to get that wrong. Like Tai Chi type of practices, martial artists, yeah.
Where you're trying not to have a full a full thoracic or stomach.
Yeah.
That way you can, when you get hit, you're not being air pushed out of you.
Yes.
I know I fumbled through that, but my father was a martial artist and he would practice that as well.
Yeah.
Didn't want to have that point where you get.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So these are various techniques of breathing, and they have various benefits to them all. Yeah. We are here in a podcast where we talk about lifting weights.
Yep.
So these are all great, but which one makes me lift the heaviest weight, right? So the biology of sport, 2021, hey, look at this brand new study, the effective breathing technique on the sticking region during the maximal bench press. So they looked at the Valsalva, the hold breath, the lung packing, and reverse breathing and their effect on the 1 rep max in the bench. What they found, and you already kind of touched on this, the Valsalva had the least amount of time spent in the concentric phase. Yeah. The Valsalva and the lung packing showed the least amount of time spent in the sticking region. So you are bearing down, and that allows you to push harder and get through that point faster. Lung packing showed a lower sticking region and a lower pre-sticking region time. So basically, lung packing allowed you to blast through the first part of the lift and the sticking part, and so that you can finish the lift faster.
Yeah.
Hold breath does not change the load one way or another. So that we're going to come back to that one.
Especially on bench press, I can see that. We're not talking about having to.
Yeah. So again, we're talking about the bench.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the squat or the deadlift. Reverse breathing was the worst. It was.
So we want to take away all thoracic pressure whatsoever.
Yeah, and try to bench. Yeah. So basically, if you were in a bench press, sounds like lung packing technique might be a technique worth looking into because presumably now you actually have some increase in that thoracic pressure, and you can blast through that first part of the lift to get to the finishing.
Filling the lungs is going to create thoracic pressure.
Yeah.
Maybe depending on that, and you're not so dependent upon that in the bench press because you're not trying to stabilize your trunk with a heavy load either below you or on your back. So that it's not as. But I will say this: the abundant amount of oxygen, as long as you don't let it to the point where you black out, spacing out. I see how that would be beneficial. Yeah.
Yeah. So there wasn't because this is a brand new study. Nothing was out there looking at lung packing or reverse breathing with the squat or the deadlift. Probably also because, people are trying not to die
For sure.
with those weights. Whereas if a bench press falls, if you have
Side
people,
spotter or whatever,
side
take
spotter
it off you.
just whip it off of you. So,
Yep.
But one technique that I don't know if you go into, have you used this with your lifting, but we haven't talked about the Wim Hof technique. It's not a very there aren't many studies out there about it. Well, definitely not any studies in terms of weightlifting. But why did you want to talk about the Wim Hof technique?
So it's not going to do much with weightlifting at all. It's going to do with your ability to withstand pain, to withstand pressure, and when it comes to maximal effort weightlifting, these types of things are something you have to train your body to withstand. It's not going to be pleasurable most of the time. Once again, I'll use a quote from a mentor of mine: "Get comfortable with being uncomfortable." So there's where you're there. So the Wim Hof method. I want to go off on this guy. He's Dutch, and he's been doing this stuff for a while. He's held several Guinness World Records for over 20 years. Swimming under ice in water. He did that. It's been broken since, but almost 200 feet under ice in water with the distance. What else do you do? Fastest half marathon barefoot on ice and snow. 2 hours and 16 minutes.
That's a thing.
On barefoot on ice and snow.
Was he running away from a polar bear?
That was a freaking talk about some cardiovascularly strong polar bear there. 2 hour jog, and then he climbed Everest and Kilimanjaro in nothing but shorts and shoes.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
So the guy is we'll just call it an expert at regulating body temperature. External circumstances be damned. So his breathing techniques and his ice baths and stuff like that, they've done a lot to help with athletes to like you said, be able to deal with discomfort and be okay with it. Also, something that means a lot to me, a lot of people who have anxiety and PTSD have used his exposure to cold water and ice baths as exposure therapy. So a controllable thing. And the way it was explained to me, and I agree with it, is whenever you're in a situation that's that you have a reaction, PTSD, anxiety, whatever, everything seems like it's out of your control. Well, here's a controllable method. You get into a cold bath, and at any point, you can jump out of that and end this thing, but you push yourself further and further, staying in there, and it teaches you that everything that's going on around you is not always real, and it can be ended at any point by you just saying so. So I know a lot of people who have dealt with their PTSD and anxiety issues through the ice bath method with him, and I know it's not to do with breathing, but that's the methods that Wim Hof introduces to people. Like, you have control. External circumstances be damned. You control your own body, and he's proved that by his ability to control his breathing and his body temperature in some of the most frigid of conditions and some of the most extreme conditions. So that's why I am a fan of his. And I'm not to say that I implement any of his stuff. I'm just a fan looking on the outside, saying that's pretty cool stuff. And I know a couple people who've actually interacted with him personally, and they've had nothing but very positive things to say about Wim. So.
Yeah, we haven't talked about exactly what the method is.
I know we haven't.
Do you want to? Do
you have any of the studies on it? Because it would actually be better for me fumbling through from a knowledge if you had some actual terminology. And I know they say a lot of stuff isn't scientifically backed. Yeah. But
So it's a combination of cold exposure, breathing exercises, and yoga postures. And like you said, I mean, it's designed to essentially overcome pain, overcome anxiety. So it uses, to offer its users a means to gain increased control over your physiology. Everything that happens in the body is a physiological response to something. Pain is a physiological response. There's a nervous system response. And so theoretically, I can control this. I can make something that is presumably involuntary, and I can make it voluntary. Actually, let me correct that. I can take something that produces a certain response, and over time I can downregulate it.
That's right.
So so the example is that if I step on a tack outside on my bare foot, if I expose myself to that over and over and over again, eventually I will be able to walk across a bed of tacks and it won't hurt. We actually use a lot of some concepts when it comes to chronic pain to help overcome chronic pain with kind of graded exposure to things that the body once thought were painful.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what's happening here. There honestly weren't many studies. I did find here's somebody's thesis looking at characteristics. Man, these are going to be some great episodes.
Yeah, buddy.
Characteristics of users and reported effects on the Wim Hof method, a mixed methods study. The conclusion of this was that the wide range of observed effects suggested the Wim Hof method could be a simple and accessible tool that has possible applications in a variety of health promotion contexts, primarily with regard to mood and anxiety-related symptoms. So, you
could do this in your bathtub too.
Yes.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
You don't have to have anything crazy. It's not something where you have to buy all this stuff. It is a method that's freely available on the internet, and you can do it. You just have to be able to have the want to expose yourself to a little bit of discomfort, and understand that you're helping out yourself by making yourself uncomfortable. And I think too often in this world we base our happiness off of comfort. And it's not always that way.
So, okay, here's like a study that I found. Because I was like, I gotta find something. Yeah. So, an add-on training program involving breathing exercises, cold exposure, and meditation attenuates inflammation and disease activity in axial spondyloarthritis. Man, I nailed that word.
Yeah,
I
buddy.
see that on a daily basis.
You're a doctor.
Basically the conclusion was that in the present trial, we showed that the add-on training program involving breathing exercises, cold exposure, and meditation, essentially the Wim Hof method, can safely be applied in patients with axial spondyloarthritis, which is a chronic inflammatory disease. So you think, well, here I am, I have inflammation all the time. It's something that I don't have control over because it's a systemic condition. But here I am. If I do these techniques, I can decrease my pain with doing nothing but these breathing and meditation and cold exposure techniques.
So make sure everybody understands that we're not saying that the inflammation goes away or dissipates.
Right.
It's how you respond to it and how your body responds to it. You can train your body to lessen the severity of the response. And that is really a lot of times when we're dealing with chronic issues, there's not so much you can do about it. You can take pain pills, which does the same thing. It lessens the response of the body. It also has a lot of side effects. This is an area right here where you can do that naturally without damaging almost every internal organ. So keep in mind, that's not, I just want to make sure we're very clear, not decreasing the inflammation.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the inflammation is still there, and I use that term, using the quotation marks because we still have a loose definition or loose understanding what inflammation is. But the inflammation is still there according to imaging, but people have less pain because it's back-to-back episodes talking about mind over matter.
I know.
So that's essentially what we're talking about here: is that you can control or have a very large, significant effects on the amount of pain you experience just by doing these type of things. So,
and this isn't stuff that is new world. This is stuff that's been done in societies throughout history. With meditation, yoga, these kind of things. These are all techniques of controlling the response of the body.
Yeah. So, typically the Wim Hof technique is done in groups of 15 to 30 rhythmic breaths, followed by some sort of breath holding and some regular breathing between bouts, and
extreme deep breathing,
and then doing it in some sort of extreme cold environment, i.e. ice bath. If you don't, if you live in Florida, and you don't have snow.
You can't just step outside.
Yeah, we're not in Finland anymore.
Nope.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I think it's a pretty good, and I encourage you, if you're not satisfied with the amount of information you've gotten on this, I encourage you to look it up. Any kind of breathing techniques, any kind of stuff like that. But the Wim Hof is something that's close to me simply because I like the fact that he has been able to replicate it in people outside of him. And people at first told us like, "Oh, you're just a freak." Fair enough, he may be a freak, but he was able to replicate similar data on other people, and that right there shows some sustainability in his methods, in my opinion. So look it up, Wim Hof, WIMHOF, and I'm sure we'll put something on here. Yeah,
2 words.
2 words.
Yeah.
Definitely a great thing to look up. So.
I mean, the main thing is we're trying to decrease pain, decrease anxiety, and so we deal with pain and anxiety on a daily basis. And then especially when it comes to performance, being able to get yourself in that right mindset is half the battle. And so these were some various techniques. We looked at it in terms of the performance aspect. Really touched on the Wim Hof method for the psychological aspect.
Yes.
But they all help kind of, for lack of a better term, center you so that you can focus on the task at hand. And that's what we're all about.
That's right.
So yeah,
reducing pain, increasing fun. Yeah, because winning's fun.
Demental. No. Okay. All right. On that note, it's time for everyone's favorite. I mean, everyone's favorite part of the show. And that's all right. I'll keep it short. Bro science myths or pet peeves.
That wasn't near as fun though.
Myths.
There we go.
But do we have
tradition, my friend?
What do we have today? What do we have today?
I got nothing.
Wait, you said
no, I didn't.
You did. You
no,
liar!
You
gotta be kidding me
didn't.
Right now.
How about people squatting in the curl rack?
Yeah.
Get out the curl rack.
Get the fuck out of the curl rack.
Wait, he cussed. Oh, God. Beep. I'll do the little sound effects for that. Get out of the squat rack.
All right.
Or the curl rack.
I guess on that note.
Nah, we've had a good time today. Honestly, all that stuff's fun. But this has been episode's very big, deep in my part because of the psychological aspect that I've dealt with in my life, and I like to combine the things I like to do with fun to help people. And this has been a big part of my life is controlling anxiety, controlling pain in order to continue doing what you do for as long as possible. I'm currently going through that process in my life right now where I went through competitive years and it really beat my body up. And now I'm trying to spend time in conditioning my body back so eventually I can be competitive again. So this kind of stuff is what I like to preach to people all the time because it's very effective in my opinion. This has nothing to do with science and stuff like that. This is my opinion, anecdotally, but I definitely encourage people to look up this stuff. The breathing, learning how to properly brace during a lift, that's vital. Like we talked about, figure out different ways, research it. It took me several years to find out the perfect way that I could brace while not passing out. Just keep it going, keep it up. Yeah, that's it right now.
All right.
Get out the curl rack when I'm trying to squat.
Yeah. Don't do that.
I don't know.
Are we just gonna kind of awkwardly keep talking, or
no? Let's do it. Hey, you can find me at facebook.com/Strength and Performance Institute, which is my facility right here in Clearwater, Florida. Also, if you would like to utilize my coaching services, you can reach me there. And then Instagram.com/Donnie Kiernan, which is other fun stuff too, and that's worth the follow, in my humble opinion.
Fantastic. Yes. Hey. My name is Dr. Hayes Estes. I'm a doctor of physical therapy, owner of Premier Physical Therapy here in Clearwater. We're on the Facebook.com/PT and Sports Therapy. On the Instagram.com/run, not row, run Tampa Bay, at Run Tampa Bay. One day you'll get it.
Did the sound effects and everything.
Hey. You know what? You can like this. You can subscribe to it. You can share it. We would love you to do all of those things.
Annoy your friends by making them watch us for a couple seconds.
All right. On that note, you can breathe now, Donnie. We're done. We're out.
Time for an ice bath.
No bloopers, Ashley. Sorry.
Yeah, right. I'm sure she'll find something. I'm gonna have to do my own editing. People are like, wait a minute. What happened to the retarded stuff at the end?
Yeah, all I used to do is just fast forward to the last 30 sequence. Quit Super Troopers, idiot!
Yeah.
God.